So in the last minute or so we have left here, I assume in listening, if you're this concerned and have these grave predictions as a result of the surveillance methods, you certainly must have been completely opposed to the Patriot Act, correct?
Not at all, not in total, but there are certain features of it which are of real concern. We are facing a terrible terrorist assault on American and Canadian and other democratic freedoms.
So I hear, do you understand why some might perceive that as a little bit hypocritical, where we should be this concerned about the surveillance, except when it comes to terrorists coming to Canada and the U.S. from the Middle East? It sounds a little bit hypocritical, does it not?
Not at all. It's nuanced. It's saying that the introduction, without discussion in Parliament or Congress, of a surveillance society in which every bit of the identification of every single citizen is now compromised by the fact that we have products in our clothing which contain radio frequency ID chips which identify us from a distance of 100 feet,
right,
is something that has never been discussed by Congress.
I got it. I understand that part.
Or even known by the average American. I think that should be a concern to Americans and Canadians who love freedom.
So, Grant, how long do we have left before the end of the world?
Well, the Bible does not even talk about the end of the world. It talks about a crisis in which Jesus Christ will come, and he will ultimately destroy evil. And I believe the prophecies suggest it will be in our generation. I do not believe in doom and gloom prophecy at all.
I hope not.
I'm looking at the most positive message that if this is the generation spoken of by Daniel and Revelation and other prophecies in the Bible, that in our lifetime we're going to see first the rise of Antichrist, global dictatorship, but within 7 years the eradication of that and the establishment of justice, righteousness, freedom, as well as provision of prosperity that mankind has longed for thousands.
It's a lot to look forward to. And just a quick yes or no, you don't think that Barack Obama could possibly be that Antichrist, do you?
Absolutely not.
Okay, good. All right, we can agree on that. Well, we've been speaking with Grant Jeffrey, author of Shadow Government. Thank you so much for calling in today.
God bless.
Thank you. Okay, so a lot of theories, Lewis, a lot of theories out there, and I encourage our audience to review all of the data.
We've heard a lot of theories on this show, but the microchip one
is a good one.
Is a first.
It's a doozy.
It's a first.
And RFID chips do exist.
But do they exist in every item?
Are there RFID chips in the belt I'm wearing right now? That I don't know. I will have to make some calls, and I will present the evidence on the show as soon as I hear back. Joe Lieberman is saying that he prefers nothing instead of healthcare reform with a public option. Let's take a listen to Joe Lieberman on Face of the Nation. And this is, of course, Joe Lieberman, who is with the Democrats on everything but the war. Take a listen to him talking about how he would prefer nothing instead of the public option.
So strongly about the creation of another government health insurance entitlement, the government going into the health insurance business. I think it's such a mistake that I would use the power I have as a single senator to stop a final vote.
But wouldn't that mean that...
And then he even went on, also in the same interview, to be very clear that he just thinks nothing would be better, or that is, anything would be better than a public option. Take a listen.
But is what you're also saying is that nothing is better than a government health insurance or a health insurance reform that includes a public option. Nothing is better than that.
Well, the truth is that nothing is better than that, because I think we ought to follow, if I may, the doctor's oath here in Congress as we deal with health care reform. Do no harm.
Okay. However, according to The Hill, Senator Joe Lieberman has reached some kind of private understanding with Majority Leader Harry Reid that he will not block a final vote on health care reform, according to two sources who are close to this matter. No one knows details or if he'll honor the agreement, but it's tentatively a good sign for health care reform. So some semblance of logic and reason apparently reached in private with Joe Lieberman, even though his public statements seem to have, they're not getting involved in anything logical as near as we can tell.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't call it flip-flopping, but Lieberman tends to waiver.
Well, who knows what deals are being struck behind the scenes? There could be any number of reasons why this would happen. Now, here's something that I hope doesn't happen because it's so bizarre. Orrin Hatch puts Christian Science treatments into healthcare reform. And this is, surprisingly, according to this report, with John Kerry and the late Senator Ted Kennedy's help. This is strange to say the least. It's crazy enough that Orrin Hatch put this into the healthcare reform bill. It's even more strange that Ted Kennedy and John Kerry supported it. And if passed, this would completely open the floodgates, Lewis, to every fringe group out there. There's a little notice provision in the healthcare overhaul bill that would require insurers to consider covering Christian Science prayer treatments as medical expenses. The provision was inserted by Republican Senator Orrin Hatch from Utah with the support of John Kerry and the late Ted Kennedy, both from Massachusetts, which is home to the headquarters of the Church of Christ Scientist. The measure would put Christian Science prayer treatments, which substitute for or supplement actual medical treatment, on the same footing as clinical medicine. While not mentioning the church by name, it would prohibit discrimination against so-called religious and spiritual health care. It would have a minor effect in the cost of the bill. The Christian Science is a small church, and the prayer treatments can cost as little as $20. But it's really, to me, not good because it's opening up the constitutional separation between church and state. It's possible that other churches might seek reimbursements for so-called spiritual healing, and you can imagine which one it is that comes to mind.
Which church?
Scientology. Which seems that is this the natural?
Let's not even get into that.
Is this the natural next step? Phil Davis, who's a senior Christian Science church official, said prayer treatment was an effective alternative to conventional health care. We're making a case for this, believing that there's a connection between healthcare and spirituality. Since many Christian fundamentalists consider Christian Science to be a cult, I suspect the uproar is going to get this pulled out of the bill. I don't know for sure. Someone I know had a friend who was a Christian Scientist, and he actually broke a bone once. He started going into shock, and everybody around him was obviously going to call an ambulance, which to me seems like the logical thing. He insisted, do not call an ambulance. I need to instead call the Christian Scientist because they need to start praying for me. Otherwise, if regular medical treatment starts before I've gotten the prayer started, which apparently sometimes costs as little as $20, the treatment might not work. Obviously, they called the ambulance anyway. I don't know what else happened. I don't believe that the bone would have healed just with prayer. I think they probably needed a cast, surgery. I don't know that...
A little morphine, maybe?
Maybe a little morphine. I don't know that just Christian Scientists praying would have solved the problem. I worry that the next step here is Scientology trying to get involved. Imagine if obese... You can't get covered if you're obese, but you can have your insurer pay Christian Scientists to pray for you if you get hurt. Let's not jump to that conclusion.
Let's not attach any financial
validity to this,
to anything religious.
I agree. I hope that this doesn't happen.